Whereas our city is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a U.S.-based organization that brings together local, state, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown guardian of our public safety, our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to keep America great. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. And now, therefore, I, Jeff Ussery, Mayor of the City of Republic, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2017 as Building Safety Month, in testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Republic this second day of May, A.D. 2017. So thank you to everyone who takes part, Garrett, everybody that helps us with our codes and making sure that our buildings are safe. The next proclamation is Public Service Week. Whereas municipal employees contribute significantly to the quality of life for the citizens of Republic, Missouri, these men and women, with their commitment to excellence and diversity of skills, are an invaluable resource. And whereas public service is a noble calling involving a wide variety of challenging, rewarding professions, including providing vital family, health, and educational services, maintaining public safety, improving transportation, protecting our environment, and performing management activities which are essential to efficient and effective operations of government. And whereas Public Service Recognition Week strives to inform our citizens about the quality of people in government, their commitment to high ethical standards, and the value of the services they perform to encourage excellence among public employees and to promote interest in civil service careers. And whereas may this commemoration provide an opportunity for all citizens of our community to pay tribute to the profession and spirit of public service, and to express our deep appreciation for the many contributions public employees make to our daily lives. And now, therefore, I, Jeff Ussery, Mayor for the City of Republic and the State of Missouri, do hereby proclaim May 7th through May 13th, 2017 as Public Service Recognition Week. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Republic this second day of May, A.D. 2017. And what I would say is, times like this, like we've recently had, remind us with the floods how much we truly depend on the people, the men and women who serve our city, whether it be fire, police, public works, whatever part of the city that may be. And that in times of crisis or any kind of natural disaster, we look to them to help our communities get back in order and get back to a livable situation. So I don't think we say it enough, but thank you. It is, you guys, everybody, the men and women are vital to us having a successful community. And with that, I want to remind everybody that we have the City Employee Appreciation Lunch that's going to be held on May 12th at J.R. Martin Park from 11:30 to 1 p.m. And if it rains, that lunch will be held in the community center. And I want to back up just a second, and I want to present the Building Safety Month to Garrett. Okay, on to public hearing. The public hearing was regarding Bill number 17-20, which did not get on the agenda. So we will be putting that public hearing on the May 16th council meeting. That is in regards to the driveways situation out in Brookline and agricultural areas. If there is anyone here that was here for Bill number 17-20, would you please raise your hand so we can get your information and make sure you're informed of the next public hearing? No one, okay. Now I'd like to open up the citizen participation. Anyone who would like to speak about anything not on the agenda, please step up to the podium, give us your name and address, and you would have 5 minutes.
My name is Sharon Chuck. Thank you for the time. I live on Dennis Street on the corner. I've lived there for 42 years. I hate to say it, but our part of town is being referred to as the slums of Tapjack. And it's really, really bad. I have several addresses here that need to be looked upon. Dennis Street, 137-205. 217's been vacated. There's a tree down. There's a grass. The grass is knee-high. There's 2 wooden outbuildings in the backyard that are literally falling apart. The hinges are off the doors, and it's just a magnet to young kids who want to hide out or something. Also, 153 on Dennis Street, lawnmowers are piled high in the front yard, cars, trucks all over the front. There's no grass. Everybody parks on the front yard. The side yards are also full. At 1516 Rosewood, which is at the end of Dennis Street, there was a young man that was living there, and he was cooking meth out in the driveway and got taken off to jail. That house has been vacated for about 5 years. Now, it is my understanding that his parents do live here, and his father works for the city of Springfield. So it's just an eyesore. There's nobody there. There's another one on my street, which I failed to put the address down, which is the worst. That house has been vacated. It's in the middle of Dennis Street. It's been vacated for at least 8, possibly 10 years. The windows are out. Nobody's lived there. There's rats running around. There's a trailer there. The grass is this high. Honestly, if I lived there, I'd have probably been down here every time you had a meeting. It's just a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our city. I think we should have more pride. I do. I just think people should take care of things. And I know everybody's busy. I know everybody has a job and they have children and things like that. But you can mow your yard. If you can't, you can hire it done nowadays. There's a house that's on, I went and looked at this, on Debbie Street. It's next door. I couldn't even find the address, but it's next door to 222. This house is so bad with hoarding. It has 2 box trucks on the side. They have built the front yard out. It has so much stuff, you don't even know what is there. The backyard is full. I'm glad I don't live there on that street. But do we not have anybody that can do anything about any of these? I know my other neighbors have talked to someone. I don't know if it's our councilman or what, but they have made this to be known. And what can we do?
Oh, well, we can have a member of staff contact you about looking into the code violations and starting to work towards some resolution on some of those things as they meet the codes. Garrett, do you have anything to add to that?
If you wouldn't mind providing me with some of those addresses, and then
I've got another one. I know my time is short. As I said, I've lived on the corner of Dennis and Elm for 42 years. I'm really tired of mowing that blankety-blank ditch, and it seems like nothing can be done there either. Empire pulls in there, other trucking and whatever. I've called the city. They brought out a front load of dirt, and that washes right down. I am hoping that someday soon that maybe Dennis or Elm could be made a real street with no ditches, and just a real street, and people would have room. I used to drive a school bus. There's not a lot of room on that road. I'm sure all of you know that. You've been up and down that road many times. But if you're meeting a semi or something else, there's just not a lot of room there, and it's just time that we start to do something to make our city look like a real city and not just a stopover place. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else willing to speak about anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, citizen participation is closed. Need a motion and a second for the consent of for the approval of the consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. On to old business. I need a motion and a second for the second reading of bill number 17-18.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Ms. Brenda.
An ordinance amending certain provisions of Chapter 200, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 1, Firefighters and Interchange of Firefighting Services, Section 205.020, Employment of Firefighters, and Section 205.030, Compensation for Reserve Firefighters of the Republic Code of Ordinances.
Chief Compton.
Good evening.
Oh, I apologize. Need a motion and a second for the final passage of bill number 17-18.
Motion. Second.
Okay. Now, Chief Compton.
All right. Good evening. This fixes an outdated ordinance and kind of improves the process for hiring. When this ordinance was adopted back in 98, 99, it didn't include the provision that the city had an HR director, and now do have. It brings the ordinance up to date. The way it was working, the city administrator had approved the hire who we saw fit for paid-on-call staff. The paid-on-call staff, it's in a support measure, working in a support unit, like fire prevention or something like that. It's going to pay $10.50 an hour. If they're filling in for a firefighter that is off on a shift, vacation or sick or something like that, they will be paid the same rate that entry-level firefighters paid, $11.07 an hour.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions, comments, discussion for Chief Compton? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran? Aye. Councilmember Mendez?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on. Okay.
Verbalize.
Okay, passes 8-0. Moving on to new business, need to move on to the first reading of bill number 17-19. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Ms. Brenda.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, adopting the 2012 edition of the International Existing Building Code, regulating and governing the repair, alteration, change of occupancy, addition and relocation of existing buildings, including historic buildings in the City of Republic, Missouri, providing for the issuance of permits and collection of fees therefore, repealing all other ordinances or parts of laws in conflict therewith, and further amending Section 500.001, adoption of the 2012 edition of the International Building Code by deleting Chapter 34.
Mr. Tyson.
What this bill proposes to do is to adopt an entirely new code book. Our building codes come in a variety of sets and volumes. This is one of those supplemental code books that we have never adopted before. It's called the International Existing Building Code. As existing buildings are regulated right now, there is just one chapter in our current IBC, or International Building Code, that applies to commercial buildings. There's one chapter in there that sort of has some brief guidance as to how to regulate when existing buildings are remodeled or added on to. And so the situation that we often run into with some of our older buildings that were built under previous versions of these codes, or perhaps under no codes at all, is that we have people that come in, maybe the building has been vacant, and they want to perform some upgrades, some limited amount of upgrades based on the budget. But that Chapter 34, the way it's currently regulated, imposes upon them a considerable degree of code regulation that in many cases want the upgrades, right? We want improvements made to the buildings, and we want them occupied, but in some cases, the code requirements are so considerable that it just makes it, in some cases, literally impossible. So what the IEBC, the International Existing Building Code, is designed to do is to balance that need for getting some upgrades with some of the physical and financial barriers and obstacles that may exist, particularly with older buildings. So that's why we're proposing to adopt it. In effect, what will happen is applicants for building permits on some of these existing buildings will now find themselves with more options, right? So rather than, to borrow the phrase, throwing the book at them, they will now have options, and the degree of code compliance that they will be compelled to make, or the degree of upgrades that the code will require of them, will depend upon the complexity of the changes they want to make, as well as the area within the building that they want to change. So if you're only working in one portion of the building and not affecting any of the other portions, under the IEBC there will be some options available where you only have to perform the upgrades in the area that you're working and affecting, and perhaps not some of the other expensive upgrades that you would have to do under our current regulations. So our hope is that adopting this code will provide additional options and will help us, put us in a position to make some upgrades to buildings that need to be upgraded, and get some code compliance, but without making it so expensive that nobody wants to do it at all. I believe that's the position that we will likely find ourselves in upon adoption, as my staff is recommending approval. I'll wrap up with this. Just as a caveat, this is not meant to be a panacea of resolving everybody's frustration with the building. We will still compel some improvements, and so those things will have costs, but I think this is more reasonable than the way we've been handling it for a number of years now, and that's why we're recommending it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tyson. Any questions, comments, or discussion for Mr. Tyson?
I do. So this actually went through a situation where I talked to a potential business owner where they basically went to Springfield because of the amount of costs they would have to incur to remodel an old building. I think this is great. How will we make the public, how will we get this message out? How will we make the public aware of these changes? Because I think this is a good thing. Is there plans to do that, or how would you handle that?
That's an excellent question. I don't know that I have, just to be honest, a very, very good answer for you. We're trying to get as much publicity out of some of these changes we're making as possible. Connie's doing an excellent job with some of the social media outlets. We can certainly do better, and we'll continue to try to. But a lot of it will travel word of mouth in the development community, but to your point, the publicity is very important, and we'll be employing whatever methods are available to us and continue to try to make that happen.
Sir?
This says the 2012 edition. Is there any edition newer than 2012 yet?
There would be a 2015 edition of the IEBC. Is that accurate? There's a 2015 edition. We did not adopt any 2015 codes, and neither did any of our regional partners. It's convenient for builders and developers if everybody's on the same page. So generally, when new codes come out, everybody in the region will sort of gather together and give together feedback on whether to adopt the new ones. And in this case, there wasn't a tremendous amount of changes from 12 to 15, if I understand. So everybody just decided to make it easy on the development community to stick with the codes.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just a comment. Garrett, I want to commend you again for continuously bringing these things, because this has been a routine comment that if you hear throughout the development community, since I've arrived, there's a lot of frustration with the conflicting code. I know this has been sitting there and that you wanted to adopt it for quite a while. So again, I commend you on your leadership to bring these things in front of the council to make it much more business conducive for the businesses to thrive. But I do believe that, back to your point, Jason, that I think that's a challenge of getting those messages out, because we've met with a lot of the development community in different bits and pieces, and I guess in islands, and they've expressed this frustration. I think it would be in our best interest to consider, maybe once or twice a year, a semi-annual kind of a update of things that are going on that we have improved on, specifically for the development community, and bring those together. I think that's one way to do it, but I also think we could do it through press releases and things of that nature, but I commend staff for move that forward.
I just want to second that. This is a good step in the right direction. Thank you for looking into this.
Appreciate that. And, Sonny Zajac, our building inspector, is here this evening to answer the questions that I have no idea what the answer would be. So,
Any other questions?
You did your helping assist with this evening.
Any other questions or comments? Discussion? Great work, thank you, Mr. Tyson. Moving on, we are now at Bill number 17-20. That has been pulled by staff. Again, that was due to the public hearing. That will be brought back on the council agenda on May 16th after the public hearing to be accommodated. So if you were here for that, please see Mr. Tyson or Mr. Keeling so they can get you involved. On to Bill number 17-21. I need a motion and a second for the first reading.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries 8-0. Ms. Parker.
Good evening. I'm here tonight on behalf of our utility billing department. We have been working, our staff,
She needs to read.
An ordinance amending section 705.050, 705.060, and 705.170 relating to utility billing and administration of the municipal water and wastewater systems.
Ms. Parks again, sorry.
Our utility billing department, along with Public Works and HR, because I was not hired yet, have been working over the past couple of months to look at the codes dealing with utility billing sections. And they've come up with some proposals that I think are really good after reviewing them. We're trying to streamline the utility billing process to make it simpler for citizens to understand and easier for our staff to process. So there will be less errors. And we're also examining how we can improve the experience for the citizens, how we can become a little bit friendlier. It is our perception that maybe in the past we have not had the friendliest face for our community. And so that word spread, people looking to move into the area, people who currently here considering to stay in the area. So the first change that we brought is what I consider very important. Is we've changed underneath paragraph D, the verbiage, paragraph C, the current verbiage for payment plans is very detailed and limiting. We changed it to allow the city administrator or his designee to develop and implement a payment plan for partial payment. This plan would be signed by the customer and the city of the public representative. It would be in effect as long as agreed upon, as long as they make their payment. This allows flexibility for citizens to come through temporary financial hardships, if someone has a car accident, has an unexpected surgery, while at the same time it protects the city of Republic from repeat offenders, people who just do not pay their bills, because we do not have to enter into these payment agreements, and then if they do default on it, we revoke the payment plan. So that's the first change underneath paragraph G. The second change under paragraph E was to make the verbiage clearer. Deposits may be applied to delinquent accounts, and prior to having their services restored, they'll be required to replenish your utility deposit if you have insufficient funds, deposits. But we're also making it friendlier for accounts in good standing. We're making an exception to this requirement for replenishing the deposit if they have not had their own city in the past 12 months. So this allows people with good payment history who have run into that one hardship to not have to refill that deposit before. Then under section 705, under adjustment, paragraph E, we completely deleted it. What we did is we turned around and we combined it with paragraph A just to be simpler and clear. It was very confusing to customers and it was very confusing to staff. I've attached the the worksheet that we use, you can see in the back all the different methods of computing the two different rates. The water rate was one rate and the sewage rate was another. It was difficult for citizens to understand what's the difference between water and sewer. You know, one goes down the toilet, one leaks out, you know. So it was a little bit confusing. So we just struck through. Both are now still the same rate. Then we added a line at the bottom that allows that if the city determines the leak did not enter the sanitary sewer system, 100% of that leak would be deducted from the sewer billing. Currently, we charge them 10% of that over the amount of their 3-month average. So we're taking out all that, the computing of that, and just saying we will pay for that portion. So basically, this for 6 months, our customers are billed on an average. So these computations do not affect those 6 months towards the billing. I believe those are summer rates that we set. So we're only talking about 6 months worth of their billing that affect these proposed changes. The last section is 705170 underneath the utility service deposit. And we just simply added a change to that they cannot have any delinquencies in 12 months to waive the deposit requirement when they become new customers. We have added it so that they only have one delinquency during the 12-month period. So this is the proposed changes. We have other changes that will be coming later to council, but we are currently conducting rate studies and to see the cost, the true cost behind the cost. I don't think a lot of these things have been examined in a long time, so we wanted to make sure we're accurately recovering our costs, not overcharging. But in some areas we might be undercharging since it hasn't been examined in a long time. So as of right now, these are the proposed changes to the utility billing section of the code. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, comments, or discussion from Ms. Parks? Sir?
Do we know our delinquency rate? You know, what we're talking about?
Do you know the delinquency rate currently? I'm going to defer the question to David Rocker, our Public Works Director, who's working on it.
Generally fluctuates between 1.5% and 2%. So, and these are folks that actually get shut off for non-pay. Delinquency, the $5 assessment is pretty high. It's typically 25% of our customer rate occurs at $5 late fee.
25%? That's very high.
Mr. Self?
Good job on all the information. I know that this probably was not an easy task, so just want to say thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
So again, I want to commend the staff for, again, it's our processes, relationships, trust. And it's like, I'm sitting here and enjoying all the conversation and all the work that the staff is doing to put this together. But one thing about it is it's also very necessary is we've got to get a much more robust online bill system where it's easier for people to pay their bills online. We're still sending out 6,000 invoices. We need to get that down to about 3,000. That's a target. But so they're working on software to change it. Some of that is included inside this admin report. I'm not sure if investing $3,000 in existing software to update that billing software is worth it, and we're looking at another one. But I think that if we could get more people paying their bills online, especially like if you look also in this admin report talking about court fines, there's a standard drop in people paying those court fines, and if there was a way for them to pay them a lot quicker, I think that would help some of the delinquency rate. Someone could call in and or go online, have an app on their phone that they could pay their utility bill. We need to get to that level, and I think that would help the 25% to keep adding $5 or $25 a time when they're already having trouble to get through it. I think this is a good sign, good thing for our customers. So, great job. All I have to say, great job.
Anything else? Thank you, ma'am. Remember, this is first reading, so if you have any questions, please contact Ms. Parks in the meantime. On to other business, resolution number 17-R-36, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of a municipal lease purchase agreement to finance an aerial fire truck. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second. A motion and a second. Mr. Chief Cobb.
Good evening. The project started in March of last year when City Council approved the purchase of this truck. We entered into a contract with Rosenbauer, a company that manufactures fire trucks. And we had a resolution that the council approved not to exceed $1,020,000. The actual purchase price of the truck was $1,013,080, and we had $6,920 in a contingency fund. Building a fire truck is kind of like building a house. It's a long, drawn-out process, and delivery time, we're looking at the end of this month, which will be about 14 months we've been into this. We went out for an RFP for our financing. As we're getting down to the end of this project, we hand-delivered the RFP to all the banking facilities in town, as well as advertised publicly, and you should have a rate here, spreadsheet with the rates in there. The Mid-Missouri banks combined across the board, the cheapest at 2.05 for 7-year, 2.18 for 9-year, and 2.47 for 10-year lease purchase. We've, after a lot of discussion with Dave, and we've decided to go with a 9-year rate. Our RFP was worded that there would be no early payoff penalty, and the RFP also worded that we could borrow up to $720,000 for the city paying $300,000 down if we needed to dip into that contingency fund. Right now, I don't think we'll dip into that contingency fund. I'll see the truck next week. We are tracking right where we need to be. We'll come in at $1,013,080. Like I said, their rate was at 2.29. We'll have 2 payments annually at $44,558.98. Also in your packet, you had a spreadsheet of how things play out with the fire sales tax. And this kind of shows you what we're bringing in, what we brought in over the past years, what we roll over from one year to the other. We projected kind of flat this year at $292,704. We took that number and carried it on out to the tax retires in 2028. And then you can see where we've added in the other equipment there. So the tax will more than support the purchase of this particular truck. We'll take a couple of years to pay this down, and then the next piece of equipment will come into play. If we go to the secondary market to replace our rescue truck, that'll come into play late this year, maybe next year, and then the replacement of the other area will come into 2021, 2022. We'll start working on that particular project. We would like to, like I said, do the 9-year rate. Our tax will support it. We would like to be in a rate of 8 years, which would be $49,346.48 and pay the loan off our.
Thank you, Chief. Any discussion, questions? Mr. Stuff?
In your experience, how many trucks have we had at one time on some sort of debt obligation? Has it always been more than 1 or 2?
Yes. After the consolidation, we had 5.
Okay. I would personally not like to see 5 ever again, but even at 3 that we're going to have for 3 years, it's a little uneasy for me. But I would either like to see us going forward with the next purchase to either have more down for down payment, whether it's 50% or slightly more, just to be safe with the cash flow. Because it is, I understand we need equipment, and we need, every so many years, equipment changes, what comes on it, new stuff. But I'd also like to have more, if we need different, not just trucks, but different equipment, or even more firefighters or more pay or what have you. So, just my thought. But.
I'm not going to argue that. The problem we have is we have such an aging fleet. When you look, we're replacing trucks in the early 90s.
Right.
And the problem we're running up against day in,
Any other questions, comments, or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0-1. On to resolution number 17-R-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the purchase of new gymnasium lighting for the Republic Community Center Gymnasium. Need a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Keeling.
Good evening. Before I turn this over to Wayne Hawkins, our parking facility maintenance superintendent, I just want to thank Wayne and Kevin Boggs, who's actually here tonight. Kevin Boggs is our facility maintenance supervisor. I want to thank them for getting us here. It's been on our radar for a little while. We're going to realize significant cost savings and some better lighting in our gymnasium. Also want to recognize the fact that having staff with this qualified really saves us a lot of not having to go out third party. Certified electricians know what they're doing. It's going to be a step in the right direction, but this is just the first step. We'll do our activities building next and ultimately Cox Fitness Center. But it is a good thing to bring to you tonight, so I want to commend them for their work. But here's Wayne.
Good evening. Put together a discussion and analysis that I hope maybe you had a chance to read through there. We've noticed over the last 2 or 3 years that there's been a real increase in LED technology, and those items become much less expensive to purchase. And they operate at so much of a savings electricity-wise, and they also don't require typically any ballast or any change-outs, and they last significantly longer. We were having a little bit of an issue with our gymnasium. The typical metal halide light bulbs that are in there only last about 2.5 years, and at about 2 years' time, they're only burning at about 50% of their brightness. So you're still pulling that 400 watts, but you're only getting about half the light. And it seems like with as many lights as we have in there, there's always several of them that are burning about half light. So to get good lighting in there, consistent lighting all the way across, we've been looking for more than a year now into LED lighting for that gymnasium. And actually, prior to that, we began replacing lights throughout the city with LED lights, especially external lights at the PD department and places like that where we have outside lighting we have to count on. So we don't have those light bulbs burning out on us in 6 months or a year. Most of these LED lights will burn for several years. So as we took a look at this, and again, we mentioned that Kevin Boggs is here, and he did most of this work. I want to commend him on that. He spent a lot of time on this, researching it. But what we found out in the final analysis here is that these proposed LED lighting we're going to ask for the gym, there's no maintenance required for that, so there's no light bulbs to change, there's no ballast to change. And in the gymnasium, these lights are 30 feet in the air, so that means we have to pull out a lift, get it out on the wood gymnasium floor, roll it to every light to change the light bulb or change the ballast. With the LED lighting, there's no light bulbs to change, no ballast to change out. They actually produce more light. The ones that we're proposing here produce more light, more lumens. They're instant on. If you're familiar with halide lighting, you flip them on and they have to warm up. If you have to shut them off for any reason, you have to wait about 15 minutes before they come back on. With LED, it's instant on, instant off. We do have options with these type of lighting to add dimmers to if we wanted to have different activities in the gym. We could add dimmers to those to be able to dim those lights down. Also, the life expectancy on these is about 17 years. So that's about 15 years longer than regular light bulbs. So you have no bulbs to change out, you have no ballast. So that ongoing maintenance does not have to happen. Those bulbs are going to last about 15 years longer. And what we found is, as I look back into the savings on this, that over a 15 or 17-year period, your electrical savings alone, not counting your maintenance, is $78,795. A little over $4,600 a year in electricity only. So it was really a pretty easy decision on this. The ones that we chose don't require any extra wiring. There are down rods currently that these light fixtures are attached to. Some of the other style lightings that are hung on chains would have required more lights, and we would have had to put a lot of labor and money into wiring and chains to hang those from the ceiling. These particular packs fit right on the bottom of the down rod, so it's just a simple up, unbolt one light, bolt another up, wire it in, and you're done. So it was really a pretty easy decision on that. You can see from the bids that we had there that Gray Bar had come in with the best price on those light fixtures, and just really want to recommend that we move forward with that. And I believe we're going to see that in the future we'll be bringing more items like this to you to bring more savings, and also to cause us to be a little bit more green. I think in one of our past meetings we had, we scored very well with our transition into moving into more green technology in our buildings. So this would be another step towards achieving that goal.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or discussion?
Go ahead, Charlie.
Mr. Bashir?
This is just for the newer gym, is that correct?
This time, we will be looking at the activity building as well as cockpit.
The lights in the Oval Center are, of course, are dim too.
The same.
Any idea what it would cost for that gym?
You know what the numbers are on that? We've already put that together. About $4,600.
About half. Thanks.
Mr. Self?
So, and Jared, like the opening and closing of the gym, is it someone goes in, flips it on, flips it off? Is there ever times where it's forgot, stayed on all night?
Now, our AM facility monitors opens the building at 5 a.m. so it's possible to turn those on, and our evening facility monitors at 9 p.m. turn it off. There may have been 1 or 2 instances in the last 15 years I can remember that they didn't turn them on, but they run those operating hours.
Okay. As far as like, at some point, I assume that we're going to look at these on the external, outside as well, not just inside.
Well, I can tell you that we've already done that. The awning out front of the building that has 4 lights on the top of it, those have already been changed to LEDs.
Okay.
And some of the outside lighting on this building is extremely expensive. It would scare you if you saw how much the bulbs and the ballasts cost on these things. So as we run into those things and they're failing, we're looking to replace all of those with LEDs.
Well, to efficiency, I mean, in regards to efficiency, what I would suggest is also looking at maybe a timer for the outside ones especially, so that it comes on when we want it on and it's off when we don't need it. That way, there's not an overlap or usage. We maximize our
Currently,
lifespan.
those outside lights are on a photocell, so they come
They are?
on.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Good.
Sir?
With the cost savings, you guys have added up in the electrical cost, 1.85 years. So long the cost savings will pay for the lights after 2 years of running them.
Pay for themselves.
Yep.
They'll pay for themselves in just under 2 years.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Mr.
My only
Dyer?
comment is in regards to what you said on the metal halides, many years in electrical, and safety is a big factor there, because when you have a power outage or somebody turns them off, and you have people in there, and it gets dark in a building like that, people tend to get scared and try going, and this, I think, would be a great thing for safety-wise, because they will come right back on for you. Appreciate the work on it.
Just a comment, yeah, I'm managing the facility about 10 years ago, and we did the same. We had 148 internal, so the initial outlay was pretty substantial, but yeah, the payback was about 2 years. There's also a thermal advantage just because they burn cooler and everything else. So this is good stuff.
The exciting thing is that those costs have not come down.
Yeah.
So you have that quick turnaround, but also the costs are much less.
Yeah, they started to come down about 2 years after we made them.
Yeah. Harvey's on.
Timing.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Resolution number 17-R-38, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri to authorize the city administrator to cause the Stinson engagement letter to reflect the actual cost above the original estimate. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As y'all know, we worked...
I'm sorry, I need a motion in a second.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we engaged Stinson on the noise ordinance, and the estimate when we brought to council was $15,000. It came in about another $1,500 higher. As you recall, in the later stages, we began to amend that and engage them even additionally to find alternatives to that, to evaluate the legality of that. And so we basically went over the estimate as what we thought, but again, what that is from is the additional work that went in towards the end that created the amendment that they reviewed as well. And so we're asking your consideration and approval for the remaining balance, which is about $5,800. I will tell you also, in those same nights, we engaged three different law firms. The one on the IRS audit, that one has been completed. I think we only spent about $2,500 of that expense. So I don't think we're even close on that one, but I don't know where we're at on Verizon. But for this sake, we need approval to pay that invoice.
Any questions, comments, or discussion for Mr. Cameron? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. On to appointments and commissions. At the May 16th meeting, we will need to talk about appointments for the Capital Improvements Committee. I would like to bring those back to the council for consideration. If anyone has any comments or thoughts on that before we get to the next meeting, if you please let me know. And if there are any council members that would be interested in serving on that committee, please let me know before the next meeting so we can get you on there for the consideration. No financial report. Reports from staff. You told me there was no financial
No, there's
report.
not. I'm aware of. Change it. Sorry.
Okay, reports from staff. Mr. Cameron.
Well, talk about the financial report. One of the things that we did not mention at the last meeting is when the financials close at the end of each month, at the second meeting, there'll be a financial statement because it'll be the close of the month. We'll be able to present what expenses and financials, revenue and expenses were through the month. And so you'll actually have an accurate financial statement other than just sitting there talking about, well, the revenue's this, we don't know what the expenses are, and you got it at the next meeting. So that's kind of a clarification of what we're doing moving forward. Ms. Tuck, thank you for attending tonight and presenting your concerns. I'll tell you, it's nice to see the public's participation in bringing that information. As you all know, and we've been working on with the citywide cleanup, the things that we are trying to do to move towards a more cleaner community to present that. And so we will look into that situation, as we are a number of other situations as well with code enforcement. And but I want to commend the staff, at least David, Brock, the parks, community development. I'm going to miss somebody if I do. The school district, the chamber, everybody that participated in the citywide cleanup. And I miss somebody. Chief, I know you're out there helping on Highway 60 in uniform with those kids. I appreciate that. All the work that all the staff participated in. Garrett, I stayed in the office. But I appreciate the work that the city, the contribution or the investment into the community to clean this up and do the citywide cleanup. I think that it had not rained. I think we'd have seen more. I believe we came in at 101 tons. We estimated 90 tons. And I will tell you this, for the Friday we drove around before, I was worried. I was like, this is not going to happen. We've got a minimum charge of $12,000. We're going to get about 20 tons. And man, I got up Saturday morning, drove around, and I was like, it was really something to see the community and people out working to clean up the community. But we still got a lot of work to do. It's a quick win. I think there's a lot more work. I think we need to start changing the message, communicating to our community that we need to take care of what we have and do a better job of making it look better. And I think there's going to be a much more concerted effort. I will tell you that one of the questions or concerns that we followed up with Greene County was that when you do property abatements and you go in and clean these properties up, that liens could not be filed. And I've never heard of such a thing, that you couldn't if we were called in to deal with it. And so working with the county, they've helped clarify some of that. And so I do believe there's a little bit more liberty for the staff to work with these things. If there is no compliance on the properties, that we can do a better job of going in, taking care of those properties, placing a lien on the property to recover our cost to do that. But instead of just sitting and letting it stay in that situation, we have some level to act. So, but thank you for a job well done. even despite, in spite the circumstances. Thank you to the community for participating. I do need to report, again, we estimated that project to be, it's in my admin report, we estimated the project to be $15,520, and we exceeded that by $15,000. It was not exceeded by $15,000. The total was $15,937. So we estimated 90 tons and came in at 101. It's a lot of trash. A lot of trash. Just a reminder, this Thursday, May 4th, is the National Day of Prayer at the Community Center. It's a great event. Look forward to participating in that, and just would like to welcome and invite everyone to attend. Starts at 6:30. I believe breakfast is at 7:15. So you can get out and attend. Mayor, thank you for the proclamation for the staff. Man, I got to tell you something. As a leader, tonight was it's so fun to watch what you all are doing. It's incredible. To Wayne, from the lights to just the things that we're doing, looking for ways to save money on the truck. I know we don't want to finance them, but I appreciate the work that everybody's doing. Debbie, the changes in the billing. We talk about processes, relationships, and trust. That's what we're striving for. And I think if you keep looking at these agendas, staff keeps bringing you these things at a very aggressive pace. Sonny, for your help with the municipal or the building code, we just got to figure out a way to get our message out, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and man, I'm so proud of the staff, and there's no better time to have Employee Appreciation Week, and I look forward to doing extra measure of appreciation through all the stuff that you all are doing, and I appreciate the work that goes on every day that we do not see, that I do not see, and so, job well done. I would also tell you that this admin report is full of information, but I'd encourage you to look at what is going on in the finance department through the audit and the things that we're looking and dealing with. I can't even sit here and explain in the 30 minutes. So I appreciate the work that all the staff's going to have to participate in working with the audit. And one caveat to that is this is the first audit. I always tell people the first one, you get about half of it. The second one, there'll be more. So we're continuing to work on it. It'll take a little bit, but I appreciate the work that Debbie and everyone's done in getting this audit complete. So, whew, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, sir. On the report from Mayor, we all know that the city purchased a piece of property at the intersection of Farm Road 174 and Oakwood last year for the intent to build City Hall. I would ask Mr. Cameron if we can get some kind of an update on what's the progress on that, what's the situation look like?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Progress on City Hall, as we've discussed during the budget cycle, and probably not everybody was here for that meeting. It was where we talked about the city's financial position, the debt structure, and things of where we were at. And so the original plan that was presented to council, those that were here would remember, was that the city was going to bond about $7 million for OTC and another $6 million for City Hall. And so upon reviewing the financials, the city's financial position, while it does show that there's $11.5 million, it does not provide for us to issue debt against that $11.5 million. And so really there's about $2.3 million. And so issuing debt for a new City Hall, let alone OTC, was just not, as we communicated in those meetings and I'll communicate now, there is no foreseeable plan to issue debt to build the building, because with the rate structure that we have, with having, $213,000 for capital outlay this year, you can see there's no way we'd be able to, with that, there's no way to finance that. And so the status is that project's probably well on hold for quite some time, and for the very foreseeable, there's nothing in the very foreseeable future. No, I'm talking about 4 to 5 years out. I don't see how our financials would align to, the debt service on that is about $500,000 per year for 20 years. And when we're considering a quarter-cent sales tax to pay for other infrastructure needs that we have, that we believe are to be more of a priority, while I'd like, yes, to change the building and move that project forward, I just don't believe it's financially feasible. So it's a whole lot to say we have no plans to present it anytime soon.
Well, having that in mind, I would ask council if there's consensus to put together a work session for the future of that property, and ask staff to bring recommendations to that work session So I would ask in your reports if you would at least give your input on what you think about going forward with a work session to see where we are going to stand and how we move forward with that piece of property. So that's all I have. I'll start at this end this time. Mr. Bashirs?
Wow, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
First one here. First of all, I want to congratulate Jared and all of the city staff on the Moore Park dedication that we had the other day. I had so many people. First of all, I knew most of the people there. Connie's a teacher, I'm a teacher, so it was kind of an over union of a lot of people that I talked with. And I had so many comments made on what a class act and so forth that was. And I can tell you definitely the Moore family was very appreciative of that. Connie spent so much time on that over the years, and she was really deeply touched with all the things that you guys did for her. So thanks so much. It was a class act from everyone involved, everyone. As far as the property, if we're years away, I think we do need to entertain what we're going to do with it, or just keep it, sell it, whatever it might be. I think definitely need to look into it.
Thanks, sir. Do you have anything else? Mr. Jones?
Mine echoes Charlie to a certain degree. I've been a new family in my ward near my neighborhood, and they just raved about our parks, the community center, and everything kind of related under our parks department, where they came from the St. Louis area, and they were just so impressed with what a small town republic has available to it. And so kudos again to Jared and the crew. They're very impressed with that. Yeah, I'm ready for a workshop for the property.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson?
Oh, I don't have anything at this time.
Mr. Self?
I would ask Mr. Brock, I'd like to know where we are on the Oakwood and Hines project, on the status on that, and the right-of-ways.
We are still negotiating through the right-of-way. We've closed on 2 to date. We'll do another one this week. We're negotiating with Empire Electric, with property owners along Hines Street. We've got some offers out. Just trying to work through some of the details. We've got to get the transaction squared away with some lenders. Loans on some of the properties. So we're moving forward. Progress has slowed a little bit as other projects have come active. We started construction on our Route 134 trail today. So we're just trying to juggle the duties, but keep progress going on that as well.
As far as the timeline, like any idea of?
We have got, we're trying to coordinate a meeting with Empire Electric. Their projects seem to be having a larger and larger impact on ours. And the most recent report that I've got is that if they keep their current schedule, they may delay our desired timeline. So we still need to follow through on the steps. They're depending on us getting our right-of-way, so we need to go ahead and follow through on that. But we do need to, we're going to schedule a meeting with Empire and try to get a better sense of what their timing will be and how that's going to impact our work.
And the reason I asked, this was my first question when I came to council was, the right-of-ways I felt should have been in the front end of the project. Do you feel that that by doing that would have maybe helped in this situation, or?
You really don't know what you need to acquire for the project's design. I mean, you might be able to ballpark it in order to really provide utility companies with their directions on where they need to relocate and get that element back in. Until you've got a complete design, you can't really nail down precise right-of-way that you need. For this particular project, we're using federal highway funds, so we're also following restricted route for the use of those federal funds, and that format is the same. The steps are pretty regimented. You go through and do the design, and make theory, you go ahead and start the right-of-way acquisition. So other projects we may have, which is local money, we would have the flexibility to go out and do that up front. I think we still want to get into design enough to know we're not buying more than what's needed, and certainly not less.
Right. I guess my thing was, like, is it costing us more because of the delay, or no? Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Smith?
I'm good for a workshop on the property. If you want to set one up, let me know time and place. As far as the utility billing goes, I think making steps to make it easier for people to pay is a big thing. I've had some complaints about how hard it is to pay, timing. I know whenever I go to pay bills, the city's the last one. I barely get it by the time I'm paying the other ones. I'm always waiting at the mailbox for that one. So if we could figure out a way to maybe make it so we could get it sooner and more in line with the other utilities, and maybe try to set up a way where we could pay at the bank. Just whenever you go to pay your electric, you could pay your water there too. Something like that would be a possibility. Try to work with everybody, get it more streamlined for every resident, not just us. So. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Grant?
I just wanted to give a little clarification on my abstention. I am in full support of the fire truck, but as many of you know, I am a lender at Mid-Missouri Bank, so I just felt like it was in best interest to abstain. So, great job, everybody. You guys, it's a great meeting, so thank you.
I just want to say thank you for always bringing and thinking ahead, bringing savings, good ideas, ways to make us work smarter, not harder. Just thank you all for all you do. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to try and name everybody like David did. I'm just going to say thank you as a blanket statement. I also want to give you some food for thought on the, I'm in favor for a workshop, but I'm also in favor of retiring a lot of the debt that we have. I know when we bought the property, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, that property's paid for, right?
Yes.
Okay. We did a study to determine, and I know there was some concern about, not building it by the police department. We had a study done. We paid good money for the study. It made sense because we had more land there to do it. I know eventually we're going to outgrow this, right? I would submit that you think about hanging on to that property, and then the workshop be a way for us to think about long-term plans, a long-range plan to get there. I'm concerned if, I just don't think we should move very fast on that. That's just my 2 cents. Just food for thought. I mean, it's not costing us any money to get there, and if we sell it, we're going to have to go through that process again, and what's it really going to gain us? Just food for thought.
Thanks, sir.
I'd just like to say that being new on the council, the staff has really impressed me on how they are on top of things and looking at ways of saving, and making things last longer. It's just great to see this happening. I appreciate it. I want to say thanks. For the workshop, I'm in favor of it.
Thanks, sir.
I do have something.
Yes, sir.
Bringing up the utility billing, the way our billing is set up now, a few years ago looked into it, a utility customer can get as far as 3 months behind before the city catches up to it. And I would like to see, from the time you read the meter until you get the bill, come about a little quicker than what it is. It would, in my opinion, save the city some money.
Thanks, sir. And Mr. Cameron had something.
Well, thank you, Mr. I want to clarify the work session as to what the deliverable would need to be, because we need to bring something is it more of a discussion? And the question I would have is, can we add an agenda item to the next meeting that we'll just have a general discussion about it in the meeting to throw out what those ideas are, or have a work session to discuss the land and other options? Because the challenge that's still there is, while there is no foreseeable project with City Hall, it does not mean that we've not outgrown this building. There's still not a need to address even the meetings and having people and having them stand outside the building for council meetings. And I foresee that the city's going to grow much faster in the next 5 years before that building is complete. For having a meeting space and having a place that you can present to the community, there's still the need. So I think that discussion, and what Jason just brought up was something that's valid, and I think we could have both discussions, because I think we're addressing the land, but we're not addressing the need that's still there to some extent, and how do we achieve that objective, rather than just cutting it off and saying, hey, we're not gonna work on it for 5 years. Just means we're not working on it now because there's no funding. It doesn't mean that we don't need to have the discussion regarding the building as well. Because as you can see in like the last meetings I've already mentioned, filling capacity for this, we couldn't even find an office for you. So I mean, it's kind of like changing. There's a lot of staff and a lot of needs, and I do foresee the city's going to change a lot in the next 5 years. And so we do need to have that plan.
Can I say something? Staff was beat over the head pretty severely about having discussion items on agendas. You have a new city administrator, a new mayor, there's nothing to prevent a discussion item on the agenda. We were just told, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for it. I've seen it before, done it many times, so, but I'm not really sure.
To change the policy, and that's fine.
I got you.
Okay.
That's
it.
So, I mean, I guess I just defer. I mean, we can bring up the work sessions work. I think that's where I'll go. We'll still have a discussion somewhere. But just to clarify, the next work session will be about community development on the comprehensive plan. So it'll be the first meeting in June. We would bring that before the council. If that works.
Okay. Nothing else, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Who beat him over the head?